September 19, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2002 chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. It's just kind of choppy. Then it pushed down and then eventually made this very gradual but choppy. It looked like it was almost like a spike sideways and a second leg up. Larger channel, which I didn't find till later, so it didn't really help me in real time. This is definitely after the fact, this red up channel. And then there weren't very many good setups I could find. There are a few almost setups, but as I go through the chart, I'll kind of point out why I didn't like it and why I didn't take it. Maybe if you're more aggressive or more experienced, you might have decided to take it, but I just didn't feel comfortable taking it. So it ended up being a no trade day. Also, there was no economic data that came out to really move the market one way or the other. You could tell the total span was about 61 points, but most of it was kind of choppy. And the volume, it was so-so, but it really didn't generate too many setups. So I can get into the trades right now. See if I can make this look a little bit better. So the pre-market looks like it was a push down, 2 legs up. This bigger push on this yellow down channel, moved up on this orange. So it looks like a spike and then a more shallow blue channel. Hit a sideways consolidation, pre-market high, then it flushed down. So it looked like it was sideways, abrupt drop, and then it started to move down this green down channel. This green down channel was kind of congested because it looks like it was side by side, then it moved down a little bit, side by side, then it moved down a little bit, side by side, then it moved back up. I saw this as a potential second entry short, but I didn't really like it in real time because it's a new low, first entry short pullback. Technically, I have a second entry short here, but it's a bad signal bar. It's green. And then, although it ticked above and then engulfed 3 previous candles, which is really nice, when you try to sell, unless you took at the engulfing, but with this bad signal bar, there's no reason, no strong reason to take an engulfing. And I did have this green down channel drawn as a trend line. So you do have a third touch confirmation, but the problem is you're clearly hitting some kind of support here. So if you sold it after the close of this guy, you don't know that it's going to keep moving down. So you'd be selling at the low. So then prices kind of hit the bottom, has pretty good confirmation, turned into a channel at this point. Let's go ahead and going to show you what I was thinking in real time. Turned into a channel at this point. It was moving side by side, sideways. It's pushing down, then it starts reversing up, pushes up in this pink up channel break, test the high, kind of congested. Technically, you have a new localized low. First entry short, second entry short, inside bar. I don't like that, especially if it's a mediocre setup. You'd be running into the EMA, which may or may not be important yet, because it's kind of moving, well, sideways, because it was prices above, prices below, prices above. No real indication that EMA is being respected yet. So it pushes through, drops sideways, get 2 dojis. Technically, have a new high, first entry long, and then makes new highs. Pushes up on this green up channel. As I mentioned in previous times, you can find second entries by the technical count, but just because there's second entries doesn't mean there's a trade there because the context might not be the cleanest. And that's kind of how I felt today. There are, as I said, trades that I marked as almost setups though, but nothing particularly solid. So I ended up not taking a single trade. There's a new high, so first entry long pullback, second entry long. This is a little ambiguous because I did have this orange down channel coming down. So to try to go long, you could maybe have a failed breakout, or you could have kind of a touch and rejection down. So it looks like it does break out, move sideways, just not the cleanest. You have a localized new low. So it's new low, count resets. You have a first entry short, second entry short. This is an almost trade because it's nice that it hit the top of the range. The problem I didn't like is it is a green bar. Now, if you're trading range rules, it technically has made a measured move. EMA doesn't really come into play, so I'm not too worried that it's going to have a bounce. What I wasn't sure about was it's starting to develop into a range here. It is kind of drifting up because you don't know what the next bar is going to be. So yes, per range rules, you'd be playing this range, but this range is very early. It's an early range because you haven't had too many confirmations. Plus, the range itself, it just feels like congestion because look at the size of these candles. They're pretty much moving. The size of these candles is almost the entire range. There's some breakouts here, below, but you could pretty much say like this candle here is 3 points, and I'm going for a 1 point scalp. Yes, there's enough room to scalp, but if you look at where this range is sitting, it's only roughly a maybe 3 point range. So it feels a little aggressive. In this case, it would have worked. It's a failed breakout, continues moving sideways, and it starts breaking and pushing to the low. EMA starting to look like it's acting as some kind of resistance. Another second entry short here, it's a new low. First entry short pullback. I like that it moved above and it flushed down. Possible second entry short, but I don't like the neutral bar here. And then this bar actually failed to break up, so there's a potential second entry short, but by this time, this bar failed to break below this guy. So it's an almost trade, but there's really no, it's even a weak almost trade in my opinion. Pushes down, kind of chops sideways. Again, you have congestion. You could have converted this trading range, kind of included all this, and it's just really, I don't know, congested price action. Prices start moving down. Even for a range, there's like a bearish bias. There's nothing coming back up here. So it's just nothing I particularly like setup wise. Pushes down, new high. First entry long, pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long, break the green down channel, it's tested low. You could argue that it's going to reverse back up, but by all indications, this is just looking sideways. So yes, here there is enough room to go to the highs. You do have an engulfing, and it did tick above this guy. Unfortunately, it closed right at its open. If it closed at the highs, it gives me a little more confidence that maybe there's going to be a more momentum push. More often than not, it's likely it's going to push up, but it just shows that sellers were able to crush it back down kind of right before it closed. You don't know that it's going to push up like this. Creates what I think is a higher low, but this is kind of weak because it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. You're thinking prices might come up to the EMA because the green has tested low, is starting to reverse potentially, but this is a bad signal bar. You don't know the trigger bar is going to show up, do that, pushes up, then it creates a lower high. So actually, technically, it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short looks like it failed, but now looks like it might confirm, but it closed above the EMA, which it's hard to really know if it's should be relevant or given any respect at this point. But it also looks like, look at the previous candles here. Technically, this candle has engulfed this guy, and it's just sideways. Large, well, relatively big moves with size of the respective of the candles, but it's just not breaking above or below. Then prices push down, drop sideways, just look to the left, and it just looks noisy. Pushes down the green down channel, break, test the low. So I'm looking for a potential reversal, but seeing as the EMA is starting to take a bearish bias, I'm a little reluctant to try to go long. Pushes up. Technically, you have a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long is a bad signal bar to go long on. Pushes down, just kind of sideways, congestion. Pushes down it goes down what I think is this red down channel. It's a new low, first entry short. You don't get a second entry short. Ideally, this red candle here would have ticked above this green one and then flushed down, and it'd be a little bit nicer, but it closed, or the low is the same, and the high is actually small in this guy. So technically, this is an inside bar to this, and it's really not it's a hidden second entry short potential, but it just doesn't look very clean. Nothing I particularly like. Pushes down. If it created a lower high, then maybe there's a trade, but it just starts pushing down, breaks out of this iffy transparent red down channel, pushes up on this green up channel now. It's a new low. First entry short, pull back. I'm not sure why I marked this arrow. Let me think. It's a first entry short. Let's see. No, I don't think there's a reason why I should have marked this arrow, other than maybe a bounce off this green up channel. But in hindsight, which I'm looking at now, in real time, I was thinking something. I think it was thinking potential bounce off the support. Nothing I really like. So even a bounce off this green up channel support, it's a weak candle. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Hindsight, get the benefit of looking at my initial thinking. Because initially I thought there was something there. That's why I marked it for a green arrow, a black up arrow. But I don't have anything in my notes about this, so nothing there. Prices push up. Looks like it's moving pretty nicely up this green up channel. I'm going to normalize this guy. So it looks like it's a pretty steep push up. Here's finally, it's a break. Pushes down. I'm thinking it's going to test the high of this green up channel. Technically, this is the first technical first entry long. You have a second entry long here, but it's a bad signal bar. And if you get a higher low, it feels a little iffy now because it has tested the extreme. So the uptrend may have played out. Technically, I have a second entry long here, but it's bad signal bar. EMA does have a nice support right here. Pushes, starts moving down. It looks like a visual first entry long pullback, a potential second entry long. I tried to see if there's something that can make this work. I was going to argue maybe there's a triple test in real time, but I had a fail breakout here. So clearly prices had some push below here. So it may be a little worried. Say one leg down pullback, second leg down visual. It's a nice signal bar. Just didn't feel comfortable buying into this EMA, which could be a resistance now. Pushes up and through. So I didn't take into consideration that this could actually be a support. So this could be a potential micro fail breakout, but nevertheless, in real time, I saw a visual second entry long, but I couldn't quite reconcile what was happening, so I had to leave it alone. At this point, I do draw this yellow down channel, touches, 3 touches, and well, you can argue pretty good touches, 3 or 2. I think it was about 3 touches for me. It's a first entry short, bounces up. So I'm also thinking this yellow down channel could also be just temporary, and then we might be in this bigger trading range. So localized new low, first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short at the highs, but this is only your second touch confirmation, so it's not enough for me to trust this is the range just yet. It's choppy, pushes up, has a failed breakout. I'm thinking prices are going to come back into this color different red range. It kind of bounces. EMA is starting to act as support. It's a little confusing. So it looks like it's failing to come all the way back down to here right now. Pushes through. So it's like a first entry long, pullback, second entry long, pushes all the way down. I don't have this red channel drawn yet, so I'm going to go ahead and collapse it for now because I didn't have anything drawn as support. Pushes up. I have another arrow here. I think I treated this as a fail breakout, and I was trying to see if there's any kind of trade here, but there was really no trade that I felt safe with. At this point, I do draw. See if I can drag it out. Might have collapsed it too much. I'll go ahead and redraw it. I did draw a potential trend line, but it wasn't a channel yet. So this is my thinking in real time because I tried to make this work, didn't look good. Try to make this one, and now I had this trend line here. I have it ready as a channel, but it wasn't really, I didn't trust it as a channel right now. Pushes up, it looks like it's in its own upper trading range. And it creates a higher low. So it's a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short, push up. Second entry short technically has failed on this candle, but it didn't have a very strong follow through. And then it pushes down and engulfs, well, doesn't quite engulf, but has a higher low. Now, I wasn't sure if this was a third touch confirmation of this transparent red up channel yet to trust it. The other problem was this higher low is potentially buying into the highs of this trading range. So you have a potential key entry point of this support, but then you have something taking away, which is you're pushing into the highs. If this had closed at the high or broken above, engulfed this completely, it'd make a stronger argument. But even then, I'd be reluctant to try to take a trade with it pushing into this high, as well as this high of day. And actually, I think this is the highest it's ever been. Pushes up and through. Let's go ahead and normalize this. Starts pushing up and out. So keep in mind, I do have this red up channel pushing up. Well, transparent channel. There's a second entry long here, but it's an inside bar, doji, nothing really there. I'm not thinking of going short. So even if there's a second entry short that sets up, it feels very dicey because it looks like prices are clearly pushing up. It looks like it's one big leg sideways, and it could make a second big leg. So it's been deleted, but I was thinking, is there something roughly here? And pushing all the way up to here, maybe. But right now, it was just kind of creeping its way up. And then this is kind of where we enter the last 30 minutes. So I'm pretty much packing it up because I didn't get a good trade, or I didn't get any trade in. The setups weren't that clean. I wanted something better. There were a few almost setups, as you can see, these parentheses ones. So at this point, I wasn't going to try to make anything happen. Prices came down. It's a first entry long. Technically, you could have a second entry long here. I wanted to bounce off the EMA because looks like it's one leg down, pull back, potentially a second leg up. But the follow through, this never confirmed. So maybe you're thinking it's the first entry long, maybe a potential second entry long here, but the second entry long would be off a terrible signal bar. It is bouncing off the EMA, so you have conflicting ideas. Then it does confirm a second entry long, but this is a terrible follow through candle. It's a low body, or the body on the low side. And then again, the follow through is just a doji. So at this point, I'm not, if this was in regular, well, this is regular trading hours. If this happened earlier in the day, I'd be reluctant to try to take anything here. You do have a first entry long, second entry long. What I need to see is a higher low bounce off the EMA. And you don't get that. So it kind of decides for you, just pushes through, bounces. I had this initially, but then it looked like it was in this gray channel, which is up and through. Technically, I have a second entry short here, but it's inside to this guy. It's very late in the day. No real trades to try to take here. Pushes up and pushes into the close. So this happens in the last couple of minutes, and you don't want to be trying to trade this, especially on kind of like a day where nothing really gave you anything. It's not a time to try to make something happen at that point in time. So kind of a meandering slow day. It did almost make this measured move. For all intents, you could say it made it. And even though it's made the move, the timestamp on this is like 12:55 Pacific Standard. There's only 5 minutes left. So even though it made the measured move, it's very dicey to think, okay, well, now a correction is going to happen. Yes, it does happen, as you can see, but it doesn't necessarily mean it could happen. It could come down and continue pushing through. So, and you don't want to try to decipher that in the last 5 minutes of the trading day on a Friday. So kind of how I saw the charts today, didn't take a trade, a bunch of almost setups, and hopefully next week it's a little bit better. So hopefully that was helpful.